this computer. Here we go. Well, welcome Great Plains Division to Leadership Academy number 4. How's everybody doing? All right. Week 2 of Olean Push is upon us, and we're looking at the fact that less than 7 days from now, we will all be either on a plane up to Niagara Falls or up to Buffalo, either in Buffalo already, and we have got a very exciting weekend. The best trip of the year is ahead of us, and I'm so proud of the individuals that will be on this year's trip, and I'm so excited about those individuals being recognized and officially qualified and eligible with their flights booked and everything else for making sure that you officially are there. So very excited to recognize these individuals, but if you're here right now, please go ahead and stand up, and you guys will be representing the Great Plains Division in 2018 and beyond. So Brendan French, congratulations. Go ahead and stand up. One clap for him. 1, 2, 3. Anna Groeschel, one clap. 1, 2, 3. We got Zane Howell, one clap. 1, 2, 3. We got Sam Turney, one clap. 1, 2, 3. We got Isaac Ballweber. Go ahead and stand up. One clap. 1, 2, 3. We got John Giacchino. Make sure you stand up. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Second time attendee going DMC now. And then we got Bailey Homan. Go ahead and stand up. One clap. 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, we've got John Hull going as well. One clap. 1, 2, 3. And then we also have Ayame Swope. So 1, 2, 3. Excited. I am going too. That will be our 10th person, but we'll have a small army of 10 of us, and I am fired up for it. It's going to be the best Olean trip we've ever had. We've moved it up. It won't be as cold, and it's going to be a phenomenal event. So let's give all of our leaders and representatives a big round of applause. Congratulations on being qualified, and we're fired up for that. I would like to do a quick round of kind of opening comments, and I want you to write down, okay? I want you to write down awareness. And I want you to remember that 80% of fixing something is awareness, 20% is action. I'm going to tell a story about the difference of me being a rad dad and a bad dad. And I got to admit, I had a bad dad moment recently. My son is 9, and he's got an amazing teacher. We just had parent-teacher conferences. We've been told that both of our children are pretty sweet and, very responsible. And it's funny, some of the things that the teachers told us about our kids were things that we don't see at home, right? Oh, he's so helpful. He always wants to do other activities and this and that. And I'm like, he never wants to do chores at home, right? Things like that. Anyway, this happened one day before his parent-teacher conference. And every day he comes home, he has something called an agenda that I have to sign. I call it a planner. He hates that. Anyway, I have to sign it. And it just basically has an outline of what he did in every part of the day. I have to check it off, and they give him a grading score where 3 is normal. You didn't do anything good, above, beyond, average, and you definitely did anything to hurt your score, right? 2, has something happen. 1, had a really bad day, right? And a 4 would be, man, they went out of their way, above and beyond, whatever, right? Well, I'm all about overachieving, as you guys know, and I've told my son, we need to get 4s. We need to get 4s. He has yet to get a 4. So on Monday, he comes home, right? And he has to go immediately to gymnastics. Then I get home right after gymnastics, and I have some other things going on. And he comes into his mom, and his mom, right, she's got a lot of homework going on, and mom says, she's studying, and I walk in, I see him about to interrupt her study session to get his agenda signed. And I say, no, Tyler, not right now. I'll handle that for you in the other room. So he comes back out. I get busy. I don't handle it. So then I'm like, all right, sweet, no big deal. She goes off to do her thing, right? I go off to do my thing with the kids, whatever. And he, right before we left, comes back to me. He's like, Dad, can you sign to my agenda? I'm like, yeah, bro, I'll get to it. And, because I have to sign it every day. No big deal, right? So then we go off, and I take them both to Brahms. Then mom leaves, whatever, and Tyler comes back up to me and he says, Dad, I really need you to sign this right now. And it's like 7 o'clock. We normally don't sign until 8:30. I'm putting it off, right? And anyway, he looks at me and he's just like, please sign it, right? And I was just like, dude, can we do it when we get back, right? And he's like, he gave me this like face of just absolute disappointment. And so I saw that, and I realized I'd hurt my son's feelings, and I looked down and I saw a 4. And I felt like the worst dad ever, because this kid, right, that I'm responsible for raising into a great human being, all I've been doing is trying to push this kid to get 4 and 4 and 4. And he finally got one. And I literally acted as if it didn't even matter 3 different times before he finally broke through to me, because I wasn't willing to take one more second and actually look at the result. versus just expecting it to be another day and another day. Felt really bad about it, called his mom. His mom doesn't like talking on the phone, right? My wife. What? Going studying. I know, babe. Take it out of my responsibility thing, but I need to tell you a story, and I need you on FaceTime, right? And I brought it up, and obviously we recognized him, made him feel really proud of him, and we took him to Brahms, and we got ice cream and everything like that. But it was one of those moments that so many times we get into a rut, we get into a routine, right, where we just go on with the norm. And I want you to write down, it's time to shake things up. It's time to shake things up. It's time to gain a more awareness. It's time to gain more clarity, right? It's time to gain more commitment. I can't wait for Olean, but let me tell you that if you go into Olean just doing the normal stuff you've been doing lately, you're not going to get the same result out of that experience. And those of you not going to Olean, right? You don't need an event like Olean to shake things up. Sometimes you just need a decision or a commitment. We all have things that we're stronger at other people in, right? And we all have things we're weaker. I like to say that every man is your superior in some way. And hey, I might be teaching a lot of vector skills and sales skills and stuff like that, but if this was about basketball, I definitely would not be up front leading this group right now because I suck at that. Everyone has something to offer the world, right? So my point that I'm trying to make here is there are 10 weeks left for 2018. What are you going to do with those 10 weeks to make yourself the best version you've ever been to go into 2019? My question to you is how life-changing can 2019 be if you're intentional about it? Right? Is it just going to be another year like I kind of had with Tyler of another day? Or is it going to be life-changing? Is it going to be the year that turned everything around? The year that you remember going back to and saying that was where everything got started? And where I'm at in 2020, right, was because of the decisions I made leading into 2019. Because that's what running a branch, running a district, right, and being involved in the Great Plains organization can do. You know, I want to have an identity in this organization of being known for being the fastest growing organization in every category of the business. I want to be known for being fully staffed. I want to be known for being the most wealthy and profitable organization, right, that has the best programs that people want to model. I believe that we can do that. I don't know if there's ever been another division that's gone from $2.5 million to over $5 million in 1 year. But I'd love to be the first. And as of last week's tabs, we're currently at $2.1 million. So I want to congratulate and acknowledge to everybody that we are officially beating all of last year's sales, right, for this year with 10 weeks left. Woo! So give yourselves a round of applause for that. It's pretty exciting, and I'm really fired up. So the last thing I'd like you to write down with opening comments right now is that breakthrough depends on you. This is not a normal meeting. This is a meeting that if you're listening to me right now, the Great Plains Division is counting on you to break through in these next 10 weeks and to break through in 2019. Past leaders that we don't even know their names are the reasons that we have things like Vector Live, Vector Connect, Rollo. They're the reasons that we now make products, right, that we get fired up about, like Can Opener. Right? I'm just saying, those people don't work here anymore in many cases. Those people aren't involved in Vector anymore, but they left that legacy, didn't they? And as much as they're responsible for doing that for us, we are responsible for doing it for the next generation of Vector, regardless of how long you're here. So take ownership of that, right? And it's time to step up. Cool? Rip up the end of your Olean push. The reality is that anything can happen in 6 days. It's okay to miss a goal. What's not okay to is give up on the goal. And I got to remind you that, right, not about how you start, it's about how you what?
Finish.
And it's also important that you understand that if you want something bad enough, you're going to find a way. Nobody who gave their best ever regrets it. Not one person. Okay? And nobody judges the person who gave their best, even if they missed a goal. But everybody judges the person who quits. Everybody judges the person who gives up. Right? Many of you that were around for the summer, you know that we have a couple of great videos we like to show off on YouTube, right? What's one of those? The death crawl from the movie Little Giants, I think it's called, right? Okay. If you haven't watched that video, you might want to. Huh? Facing the Giants, right? Sorry. Facing the Giants. And just type in the death crawl, right? That'll get you going. You know? The other one that you could search for yourself if you need some inspiration right now is Derek Redmond. Just type in Derek Redmond. but he's the Olympian, right? That was slotted to win the world, championship and get a gold medal. And after the first 100 meters of the finals in the 400-meter dash, right, yanks his hamstring, collapses, falls over. His dad comes out and helps him finish that race. By the way, millions of views of people watching Derek Redmond limp around the track with his father in his arms. Nobody remembers who won. Seriously, I don't even know the name. I don't even know who was competing, but I remember Derek Redmond, and I'll never forget that name. It's not about how you start. It's not about how you finish, right? And it's really important that you remember, push is not about the result. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey and the process, right? And the person you become through going after a big goal. So what's going to change? You got 6 days left. And it would be an embarrassment to show up to Olean, right, without a strong sales report. I'm not going to give you a number of what strong means to you, right? But I'm looking for the people who want to catch Lloyd's eye. I'm looking for the people who want to catch my eye. I'm looking for the people who want to say, I'm going to do something, right, that's going to have the wow factor. That's going to have the holy crap factor. How'd you do it? Questions, right? How many people in Olean aren't even from our division are going to come up to you and congratulate you, right, on whatever you accomplished and say, how'd you do it? That was crazy, right? And then they find out that you're busy and you have other responsibilities and all these things like they did, but you're the one who didn't let those things hold you back, right? You committed to the actions and finished strong. What habits are you going to develop, right? What confidence are you going to build? Some good things to think about. Sound fair? Sweet. So let's dive into the next part of opening comments for us right now. One of the things that I really want to discuss with everybody, okay, is the importance of getting your Leadership Academy assignments done. I want you to write down something called the feedback loop. Nothing helps somebody learn faster than them watching themselves. One of the reasons that every time that we have an assignment that has to do with you guys, right, recording yourself and then sending it to your DM, right? And I know we haven't had a very good format of that, and that's my fault, but I am opening up a file that's online that you can upload to. I can watch it. We can check it off, right? And if you've got the recordings already, great. If you don't have the recordings, you got some catch-up work to do, okay? But here's the reality, right? These assignments are not just there just to give you busy work. It's not like school. This is not class, right? Okay, we're not giving you a grade. This is your job. This is your future. You're going to be influencing people's lives. So how prepared are you going to be? And the feedback loop is the fastest way for you to learn. It's amazing. I'm working with the CSPs right now, right? And they have an issue. And I'm like, cool, if you recorded yourself. And the initial reaction and the response I get to that always is, dude, that's dumb. You want me to record myself, right? And it's so funny because once they actually do it, I get text messages from them immediately. And it's like, dude, I just watched myself. Holy crap. I have so much room for growth. And sometimes it's something small. Like one of our CSPs, the reason they were sucking on the phone is because they were rushing their phone call. They were just talking too fast. They listen to themselves. They're like, dude, I was literally talking twice as fast as I normally do, and I'm already a fast talker. I just slowed it down, and 100% of the people I talked to answered or booked. 100% of the people who answered booked. Because you just slowed it down, right? You're in a lot more control than you think you are. So you need to create this feedback loop, and you need to find a way to not just get the assignments, but how can you get a level 4? That's the thing. I don't want you to get a level 3 just saying I completed the assignment like my son. I want you to get a what?
4.
I want you to get a 4. I want you to go above and beyond. Okay? So here's the quote that you should, maybe consider when it comes to your assignments. Amateurs practice till they get it right. Professionals practice till they can't get it wrong. So what are you going to be? Are you going to be an amateur manager that goes out there, or are you going to be a professional? Because I'll tell you, people like John Giacchino that dominated, made a lot of money, and now is in the running to run a district, was somebody who took full ownership, right, of getting those assignments done, fulfilling them, learning from them, and being better. And I'm sure that he looks back on all those assignments and wishes that he would have done even more than he did. There are other branch managers that didn't have the same experience. I'm not saying that they're failures, right? The only way to fail is to quit. But I am saying that they didn't get everything out of branch that they probably wanted to. And the reason why is because they didn't go in prepared, right? Not sure who has the quote, but here's another example of that. If you give me an hour to chop down a tree, I will spend the first 45 minutes sharpening my axe. How sharp are your skill sets going to be when you go into this coming summer as a branch or district manager? How sharp do they need to be? Right? What level of awareness and understanding do you have of the Vector Live system? Do you have of the PR recruiting program? Do you have of training, the video training, right? do you have of being able to get people on your team? It might seem easy from the outside, but I'll promise you, when you have to start something from the ground up all by yourself, it ain't easy. And your current experience that you're having in your district office right now is not the same experience when you open up your office. You don't have the culture built yet. You don't have the help built yet, right? That's what happened to me. I came out here to Great Plains Division. That was the toughest transition I've ever had professionally in my life because I left, right, the #1 division in the company back in Rocky Mountain that had 20 plus offices every year and 400 people going to conferences to a place that literally had one office that I had to shut down that was failing. Our biggest conference that summer had a total of 42 people there. I've had bigger team meetings than our entire division conference. When I talk about a culture shock, it was not easy. For about 3 months, I actually questioned my decision of going DVM. I questioned why I even did this to myself. Right? I had regret. I wish I would have stayed back there. Now, after about 3.5 months, I had developed people and developed culture, and we were making progress, maybe not at the rate I wanted to, right? But things started to click. And now I couldn't imagine being anywhere else, right? But even for that transition, I wish that I would have been more prepared. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Not going to change, right? So clarity equals power, and I want you to become very, very clear on what actions that you need to take in the next 10 weeks to be, right, eligible to earn the right to run an office. Everybody good with that? And I think you need to get that done ASAP. Cool? So here's the deal. Take advantage of your opportunity. What Leadership Academy and Branch will do for your future is beyond anything else that you could gain at your age right now. I truly believe that. You get $5,000 worth of free money. Okay? Who else in your life has given you $5,000? Literally, $5,000, no strings attached. Here you go, do what you want with. Yeah, we had people that we love, people that we respect, people who raised us, right? And my parents have certainly never given me $5,000, no strings attached, much less $5,000, but, right? With no repay program, literally, you could go out there and do absolutely nothing, and there is nothing that you're on the line for. That's what our company's offering you as a branch manager. As a district manager, that'd be a $20,000, right, startup compensation package for your first year. There is no other way in vector marketing to earn direct 50% or direct what?
Baby.
That was weak sauce. Direct what?
Baby.
There is no other way to get that. It doesn't exist. The CEO of the company doesn't get it. I don't get it as a DVM. You cannot get direct 50% unless you go branch. That's the only way. And not only are they giving you direct 50% with literally no quota, but they're giving it to you for 90 days. And then on top of that, they're going to give you an opportunity to take a trip. They're going to give you an opportunity to not just take an average trip like, hey, we're going to go to Six Flags. No. Where are we going? Oh, my gosh. Where are we going?
Paris.
Where are we going?
Paris.
Gosh. I'm going to tell Bruce Goodman that the location doesn't matter. They don't remember it anyway.
There's just so many trips.
There's just so many trips. Good try. So where are we going again?
Paris.
Going freaking Paris. 7 days, 6 nights to do whatever the heck you want. And some of you are like, so how many of those days have conferences? 0. This is not a working trip. If you want to talk about Vector and CPO, cool. Good luck finding somebody who wants to. But the rest of us are going to be hanging out in Paris. We're going to be traveling the world. And we're not just going to do it, we're going to do it Vector style. There are 2 types of travel in the world, travel and Vector travel. And I can promise you after Olean, you'll learn the difference. Not to mention, regardless of the result, the experience that you're going to gain from running an office is going to put you light years ahead of anybody in your age group. Why would you not take that? Why would you throw that opportunity away? Does that make sense? So how serious I'm not saying that you can't have fun with this, right? That's the other thing. You get to actually enjoy the experience. You get to have fun with the experience, right? You get to go through it without any judgment of the experience. So where else are you going to gain that except for here? And some of you, right, need to start thinking about territories. And I got to tell you that whatever territory you choose, We have a 7 and 7 program. And maybe your territory isn't a big recruiting program. So here's what we're going to help you do. And I'm going to help you make a business plan, help you make a business strategy. Figure that out, right? Once you give me your commitment to go run an office, right? And I'll tell you how you can do that in just a second. But the 7 and 7 program says for the first 7 weeks of the summer, you're going to be a full-blown manager. You're going to be all about experience. You're going to recruit. You're going to train. You're going to develop people. And you're going to do your best. And then right after SC1, middle of July, you're going to stop recruiting because it's not going very well. And those last 7 weeks, you're going to sell Cutco a direct 50%. You're going to lead your team through personal sales, right? So what Marissa Mayer did, Marissa Mayer's office did almost $90,000 in sales when she ran a branch. You know why? Because of $40,000 of that came from her. $40,000. She ran a branch office and sold 40 grand that summer because she did the 7 and 7 program. The first 7, she gained experience in management and developed some great people, right? And the next 7, she personally sold and led through sales with them, took them field training, and went on reverse field trainings. She also developed a rep that did 20K that summer. That helps her get to 90, right? Sold 40 herself and then developed those other people to help out. It's possible to fail as a branch manager, right? If you know how to sell and you know how to recruit. You have Olean coming up. You have Year-End Banquet. Crazy thing to me is we are only 3 months away from Year-End Banquet right now. 3 months away from you being promoted in front of 500 people, the team, the community, and being part of something bigger than yourself. Being part of the best year ever in the Southwest region history and going into next year where we'll have the best year ever in corporate history as a region. You're in very special times right now, and I hope you take ownership of that. Assignment for you right now is to look up the Paris video on Vector Connect, right, or on YouTube, the Paris promotion video. You're not going to have time to play it right now, but I would check it out. And I want you to write down a hashtag, and the hashtag is Cutco Through College. The finances, the skills for life, the fun, this is not a summer job, nor should you think of it as such. This is not a semester job. This is literally something that you can make into a short-term career for you throughout college. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Where else are you going to find an opportunity that gives you the platform to be able to graduate completely debt-free 10 years ahead of all of your competition? You're not. You're not. So take ownership. I want you not just to think about, am I going to run an office? I want you to think about how many offices will I run? I think about Andrew Evans. Andrew Evans having to borrow money from his DVM to get to Leadership Academy his first year. But committed to the right activities, and they ran a $125,000 office. Said it wasn't good enough, developed some staff, retained those people, and next year did $300,000. And then came back and broke the all-time company record, had a $600,000 summer as a branch manager and broke the corporate record. He also saved at the age of 21 over $100,000 because of his commitment to 3 to 4 months. Will I run an office? Weak question. How many offices will I run? Better question. How quickly will I get to $50,000 milestone, $100,000 milestone, $200,000 milestone? Remember, as a branch manager, all of your sales count for your personal career total. How quickly will I be eligible for the actual 50%, right? Based on quota. And if I do things right, what are my options available for the future, right? I write this down, position of choice. Let me teach you something about life. Life is a lot more fun when you have options and choices. Life's a lot more fun when you have lots of different paths that you have for your future. So put yourself in a position of choice to be a district manager, to be a career sales professional, right? Or to be able to land a much sweeter job than just the bottom level entry one and having to earn your way up in a future company. Cool? So that being said, I have a cool document. The document we just got made, you guys can take one and pass it around, but I'm going to pull it up on our screen and share it real quick. So if you guys want, we'll do that. I'm going to exit my full screen. We'll drag this over. And a couple of assignments that I've got for you real quick before we wrap this thing up. One of those assignments that I'd like everybody to know about, and I'll show this here and share my screen, is you guys need to write down letter of intent. Okay, you can either write this between now and when the Olean trip is, right? Or you can write it between now and the end of November, but really the deadline would basically be Thanksgiving, okay? And if you want to run an office, then I expect that you write me maximum of 1 page, a letter of intent on why you think you're eligible and committed to run an office. Now, branch district doesn't really matter, right? But I need a letter of intent, even if I already know you're 100% in, right? You know, an example of that would be Bailey, right? It's very unlikely that Bailey does not open an office right now. But I think that when you put your thoughts into words and you write them down and you submit that, right, it's great experience because in many cases you have to submit something like that to be able to get a promotion, right? And more importantly, it helps you actually, right, put, kind of finalize and make some of your ideas for your future a little bit more concrete. Sound cool? So again, maximum of page, right? And if you need help with it, reach out to me individually. But if you want to run an office, I expect that you get me a letter of intent ASAP. Sound cool? Other assignment that's on there is making sure that you pick out your top 3 territories. So if you look over this right now, this is a map of our areas. Not all the black dots are represented up there in our division, but here's the reality, right? According to Lloyd, there are 26 potential areas that we could have an office throughout the state. And regardless of which ones are open and not open right now, I'll tell you this, that if your skills, sales, and savings are much higher than the person that's either wanting that territory or in that territory, then I can definitely have the discussion about putting you there, right? So no options are off the table, right? Now, I do want to make sure you understand that I am planning to move the pilot up to Edmond, and the reality is that I really doubt that you're going to be in a place where you're better than the pilot to take over the Edmond territory. So that would be one of the only ones on this list that's probably not an option for you, okay? But if there is a territory that you think is an option for you that is not on the list, by all means, feel free to let me know what that is, but I would like to know what are your top 3 choices, right? And the sooner I know, the better. Also, if you know those, I would put those into your letter of intent as well as we move forward. Sound fair? Sweet. Questions, comments, concerns before we continue? Huh? Good try. You can have a vouch for it. Cool. Yeah, we'll have a 3-way discussion with Lloyd, see how he feels about that. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to bring up John right now, and I'm going to throw it into speaker view. John Giacchino asked to put him on the list for the next 6 days. John has been really good at push periods in the past, and I believe last year, sold some good stuff for the Olean push. But he's going to talk about finishing strong and give you a few tips that you can consider about finishing strong and really about what a big push finish can do for your long-term future. I know he's got to bounce soon, so John, take it away. Number 1 branch for 2018, now one of our top district manager candidates, and will be attending Olean for the 2nd time in the future in the next week. So thank you for your leadership and guidance, and we are all ears. Go ahead, bud.
Can you guys see me?
We cannot, but we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had my notes up, so I guess it turns the video off. Can you see me now?
We can see you now.
Awesome. So, guys, thanks for letting me speak. I am super excited to go to Olean. A little bit, though, about my branch experience and kind of what, the lasting effects have been. It's just awesome knowing that, I've accomplished a lot more. Nick, he was talking about how you're like light years ahead of other people in your age group. I've gotten not solid job offers, but I've had several employers talking to me about, my experience and how they already want me to be talking to them by the time I graduate. It's a good feeling to have. Just this last weekend at a show, this guy who's going to be needing a marketing director in the next year or two, I've been emailing with him back and forth. So it's exciting, and that's kind of what, it's keeping your options open. Nick calls it, so having your choice. I don't remember, but having your choice of what you want to do. So that's always super exciting, and I love that. So when it comes to the push, I know a lot of people probably aren't where they want to be for the Olean push. I know I'm not. But the one thing that I always think of when push days are counting down is, well, it's kind of funny. I love basketball, but it reminds me of Tracy McGrady back like 10 or 12 years ago. He was down 13 points with like 40 seconds left, and he hit another 3, then he hit another 3 and he got fouled, then he hit another 3 and he got fouled. And it's just crazy how things just can swing so quickly for you if you get that momentum. So I don't want you guys to get discouraged, get complacent, because, Nick always calls it Miracle Monday, and Miracle Mondays they're awesome. And we can have a bunch of straight Miracle Mondays the rest of the way through the push. So that's exciting, just having that, those expectations. Another, also about Olean, the people you're going to meet there. I remember meeting people last year, and I remember watching their names and competing with them throughout the national sales report every single week. Saying, oh, did I beat such and such? Oh crap, they beat me. Their office did 5K better than me. And it's really fun. It's really interesting. It's just a blast to be able to make those relationships before the summer even starts. So when you guys go, make sure to talk to people. I'm not all that social of a person. So, talking to people the whole time was not something I really wanted to do, but I regret it. And this time I'm going to be meeting as many people as I can, talking to everybody, hanging out with everybody, because I know that I can have my antisocial time when I'm at home, not when I'm on a business trip that's being paid for by the company to go see the factory and go meet everybody that I'm going to be working with for the next however long. So go out there and have fun. The push, back to the push. Sorry, I'm kind of flip-flopping. But the push, everyone needs to finish strong. I made a bet with Nick that if I don't hit my phone call goal before we leave, then public humiliation will happen. So don't be like me. Make sure you hit your goals, and we're going to have a good time. But to help with that a little bit, feel free to call back your past clients. That's one thing that I plan on doing a lot this weekend. Holiday sales specials. The holidays are coming up. Especially for people that like to do like $50 a gift per person, we can do like buy 3 get 1 trimmers, and it comes out to like $55 a piece. How many of you guys have parents or aunts or grandparents that have that price range on gifts? Like everybody, right? Like I know my aunt, she's always like $50. That's the average, and she gets 4 or 5 different families gifts, and trimmers are awesome. Also, gadgets. We can do steak knives, whatever you guys want to make it. But holiday gifts right now, especially since a lot of people might even have them paid off by the time the holidays get there, that's a great little boost of CPO. And then just kind of to wrap it up, let's just hit the push strong. Let's not get complacent. I know I already said that, but it's very important. I don't know if they're doing the same limo to wherever with the president of the company, but I know they did that last year, and I regret not being on that limo with them. So they always do have some really cool incentives. I know they had some cool K-bars last year for the top reps. So who knows what the trophies are going to be, but it's going to be a blast. So make sure you guys finish up strong, okay? And thanks for letting me talk again, guys.
It's working. We're working on the unmute. Yay! Now we can do it. All right, excellent. Well, good, and we are fired up to see you out there, and fired up for you to be able to attend Olean for a second time. So thank you. So a lot of really good quick tips that you can do, and don't forget, while anybody's giving a message, you're more than welcome to yell out nugget or this or that. Certainly help you as we go through it. So thank you very much. One clap for John. 1, 2, 3. I know he's got to run off to class and then watch the second half on recording, but we appreciate your time. So thanks for making it happen. All right. Well, next up, by the way, and there are some public humiliation. We've got people like Isaac and Sam right now. If they don't complete their 10 demos, they will be getting a pie in the face in public on the last night that we're there. And As of right now, I've asked people, what is your favorite flavor of pie? And I said, great. Well, I want to get you none of those flavors and make sure that it is a poo-poo platter when I throw it in your face. It'll be great. So looking forward to it. There's lots of dog poop in the parks that are around there. I promise you that. And a lot of it's frozen. So I'll just mix that into the, cream cheese. Is that what's on pie? No, whipped cream, right? That's right. Okay, cool. Maybe it'll be a cream cheese pie. Who knows? I don't know. Here we go. But next up, we've got Melissa Bender talking about Olean expectations, talking about why it's such a phenomenal trip. I know not all of us are going to be attending the trip, but talking about her experience and more importantly, talking about expectations you should have of yourself when you go, how to take the most from it, who to interact with, how to interact, how to show up, dress-wise, how to show up in preparation with notes, and how to take the most out of it and to make sure that you represent the great place the right way, because the reality is that you're always being watched no matter what. And oftentimes I don't want that to come across as like creepy. We don't have like a secret camera or drone like following you everywhere. That's in 2020 for our division, but not yet. Anyway, it's you're always being watched. People are always looking at you and what you've done and where you're at. So I think it's important, and we're fired up to hear from you. So Melissa, knocking out double monthly bonus, earning a bonus of almost $900 in the month of September. Go DM first fall, you get a double monthly bonus, which does not suck. Also in a place where she is 1 month away from getting her next installment from the company of $3,000 for part of her DM compensation plan, and less than a year from being eligible to go out and get a brand new Black 3 Series BMW paid for by the company. So pretty freaking exciting. #1 new district manager in the division for the year right now, and has big plans to be able to double or quadruple her sales next year and to be able to become one of the pillars out there in Tulsa moving forward. So we're fired up for you. Thank you for your time, and we are all ears. Melissa, take it away.
Of course. Thanks for letting me speak. So super excited to talk about the insanity, which is Olean, New York. This just got me thinking back to when I went. It feels like legit yesterday. So it's been kind of crazy. Just know you guys are going out there, but so why Olean's awesome. I'm sure you guys are super, super excited. For a long time, this was my #1 absolute favorite trip that I'd ever taken with the company up until SLC, obviously, go DM. But up until then, it was my #1 favorite, and you'll hear that from a lot of people as well. I just want to talk about #1, people. Like, the people that you will meet on this trip are insane resources to have. I love how John was talking. I remember going with John, and he was so angry that everyone was trying to socialize with him. And I was the opposite. I'm a huge people person. My goal, I remember telling, Claire and I were like plane buddies, and I was like, I'm going to talk to every single person there. I had no idea how many people were going to be there. Super unrealistic, but that was legit my goal going into it. I was like, I'm going to talk to every single person there. And I tried. I did my best, but I was talking to every single person. And those friendships and those relationships that I built in New York have been the most impactful out of any trip that I've taken. Whether I became really close with a person or just, was on a first name basis with them, those have come back tenfold. I'm still recognizing people at SLC, in Hollywood. There was like 3 different people that was like, wait, didn't I meet you in New York? And I was able to build that relationship further on top of that and just build incredible relationships. The people you're going to meet on this trip are just a whole different caliber. I remember this overwhelming feeling of just like, holy shit, like I need to step up my game. Like that was like getting on the bus. I remember that was my very first impression of just meeting everyone. And that's kind of the mindset that everyone goes into it with, is just wanting to meet everyone. I don't remember, I don't know if Claire remembers, but I remember our connecting flight. I have no idea where our connecting flight was, but we sit down, we find our gate, and we sit down. There's like 2 big rows of people in front of us. Everyone's like getting ready to board. And I see like a Cutco shirt, like one guy in the entire like gate. I see one like Cutco shirt, and I lean over and I'm like, you work for Cutco? Like kind of across the gate. And this entire like freaking row of people, just like everyone turns toward us, and we were like, whoa. And just everyone stands up, and it becomes this huge like social, like the whole gate just exploded with conversation. Just so many people, and just so many quality people. Like every single person I met which is just super positive, super ambitious, have these big goals and dreams, just some of the coolest people you're going to meet. So absolutely go into it trying to get as many contacts as possible, building relationships. And also it's cool to come back and see who you beat and who beat you, and watch those reports. It just makes it that much more fun. I love what John was talking about. It's so, so true. Second, I want to talk to you guys about how you show up to this event. How you show up matters. How you show up matters. You guys have seen, obviously, events and conferences on a divisional level. You're going to see Vector on a national level, and it's pretty insane, but we're a pretty small division, comparatively to some of these other divisions. But you guys represent us. Like, you guys are the face of Great Plains, and how you show up matters. Everyone, like, Nick says it all the time, and when I was new, I thought this was just like, I thought that was just like something to make us like perform better, but it's true. Like, people are watching, people notice. Every division has a brand. What is our brand going to be for you guys? Like, are you guys going to be the ones like showing up early, the ones that dress nice? Every division has a brand, and we're still creating ours. We're a pretty, up and coming division. We've grown a lot. And so we're still creating that culture. We're still creating our brand. And you guys are the next generation of that. So don't take that lightly. Everyone, someone's always watching. And so we're the fastest growing division in the company. People know who we are. People are excited about us. People are, rooting for us. And so that much more people are watching, especially Great Plains. So sleep well, just put so much preparation into this. Like, it's going to be the vacation of your life. Like, however you would prepare for that is how you need to prepare for Olean. And so that's kind of the main points. I know I'm running out of a little bit of time here, but those were some of the big things for me. So yeah, what you put into this event is what you're going to get out. So make sure you're 100%. Thank you.
Woo!
No, not yet. Now you.
Yeah!
Woo!
Can't hear anything.
It's fun, and you think about the process of building an
I
identity.
can see some clapping, so that's good.
You see the process of building it. Can you see us? Yes, we good? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Arham can. Okay, good. So the process of building an identity and a culture, and one of my favorite parts of being a leader and a DVM is being able to actually witness the growth.
Hey, sorry, I can't hear you, Nick. Am I the only one you can't hear, Nick?
Yes, you are.
Okay, well, that was easy. I didn't even have to talk. I feel like Zoom was on automate. Anyway, hopefully I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads that you can see me now. So a couple of things, I've been able to watch the growth of Melissa, and every one of you has grown, but we don't notice that much growth because we live with ourselves, right? We're always present. We're always there. And so I think about, how much you've grown, Melissa, as a public speaker, as somebody who's confident, as being able to somebody that can deliver a message like that. And it's phenomenal on what, literally a little bit over a year has done for you. And, it'd be interesting to think about where would you be right now if it wasn't for Vector and what you had learned and what you've done and so forth. So pretty exciting as we continue and as we move forward on being able to build that, no doubt. So excited. All right, cool. I see a smiling face. Hopefully Melissa can hear me again, and I'm fired up for that. I just realized I didn't cover everything, but thank you to both of our speakers, John and Melissa. Really fired up for what you guys discussed. And, here's the deal. A couple of things that she said, but I want to reiterate. Number one, when you're there, right? The first night is a social event. Those of you going to Olean, you need to check your email to make sure you show up properly the right way, okay? Also, make sure that you understand for the factory tour, man, Cutco. Guys, you can bring any Cutco to Olean, all right, as long as you keep it in your checked baggage, and you can actually bring it to the factory, give it to them. They will fill out like a service request form, and then all you have to pay is the small nominal return shipping fee, right? And you get it back in a couple of weeks. I've already got a couple broken Fisherman solutions because Bailey's really good at testing our forever guarantee. And I've got a couple other products that I need to bring up there as well. But there's nothing more fun than bringing those with you, dropping them off, and making, and having them shipped back.
They want you to fill out the shipping form before you bring it, and it should be in your email.
Cool. Yep. So that way they can save time. And again, all of that's in your email. Another thing, the factory tour, you need to make sure that you dress up in a full suit, full tie, right? I mean, you got to look like you're dressed to the nines, right? We are going to represent Vector Marketing, and although Cutco and Vector are all under the same corporation heading, right? These are people that are corporate workers that get paid that way, right? We are not corporate workers. We don't work for Cutco. We work for Vector. So as much as we want to represent our own division, we also want to represent what Vector Marketing means. And we're also representing the Southwest region. And year after year, we are the region out of the 6 that gets the most noted and are also the most professional based on the surveys that the actual employees of the factory take. So we want to keep that up. We want to do it the right way. I also want to remind you that you should show up with a lot of cameras, a lot of expectations, have a lot of fun. Okay, if you have a tie, you'll have to tuck it behind your shirt so it doesn't get caught in any machines or anything, right? That's one of the reasons we don't launch everybody that goes to Olean. There's always one that gets caught. I'm just kidding. Nobody gets caught in a machine, but be careful. Closed-toed shoes, another thing. It is going to be very cold. Bring layers, right? Some thermals to put underneath your suit. I'm definitely notorious for doing that. And the conference is going to have a lot of learning. It's going to have a lot of tips. It's going to have a lot of ideas about what you're doing, and you're going to have exposure to people that you haven't had before. I also want to remind you that we'll be talking about the winter break program. We're going to be learning about the January incentive trip contest. Who wants to learn about that? Yes. And where we're going to be going. I don't even know where it is yet. Literally, otherwise I delete and tell you. And then it's going to be a professional event. So remember, make sure you dress the right way, and don't forget to bring your passport. We will be having the opportunity to go on the Made in the Mist. There's an opportunity to go for free, and an opportunity for you to pay for yourself. So bring some spending cash. And a lot of us plan to go across the border to Canada and have some fun out there. And also, there's a 3-story state-of-the-art brand new go-kart track that is much like Mario Kart. So I'm fired up to play that too. And I'm not sure how you can shoot shells or throw bananas, but I'm looking forward to learning. So it's going to be a fun time, no doubt. That being said, a couple last things that I want to do real quick. One of them is I want you to just kind of listen and think about this. But right now, you should be going through a full range of emotions when it comes to your future with Vector Marketing. Excitement, right? Nervousness, being scared, being committed, being frustrated, being overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling pressure. And I just want to remind you that these feelings are normal, okay? You're going to go through highs and lows throughout your entire journey and process. And I got to tell you that on average, every year, I have to save a normal manager 3 times. Talk to John about the times he thought he was out and not running an office. Talk to Melissa about the times she was out not running an office. They will tell you about the times that they were all in and they couldn't imagine being anywhere else. And then the times that they were all out and they couldn't imagine even being here. And so it is normal to go through the journey and the roller coaster ride of highs and lows. Okay. Here's what you need to understand. Everybody has those thoughts, but the feeling of uncertainty. But a lot of what this is and what that was is part of the process. So a good thing to write down or remember is to embrace the process. Challenge is the pathway to growth. Growth doesn't happen without adversity. It doesn't happen without challenge. And a big part of what makes running an office so meaningful is learning how to handle those emotions now when you're the only one that they affect. Because when you run an office, you'll have the similar emotions, but now your emotions affect everybody around you. It increases your capacity that you don't give up throughout the process and you follow through and you grew. Conversations with candidates every year that I have, typically in September, are things like this. Is this okay? Is it all right if I do this and all right if I do that? Or what should I do? Well, by the time we come back from Olean in November and December, I start to hear, here's what I did. Would you have done anything differently? If you want my feedback, here's something to write down that I want you to come to me with. I will help you work through a problem as long as you provide me 2 solutions before you ask for my help. Here's the problem I had. Here's 2 solutions I've considered. What do you think? If you don't come to me with that after Olean, here's the way I'll respond. What do you think you should do? And until you provide me with 2 legitimate solutions for the challenge that you're facing, then there's not much I can do to help you. Because my goal is not to teach you what to think, but instead how to think. By January and February, I start hearing, here's what's happened, here's what I did about it, here's why I did it, and here, is what I'm going to do about making sure it doesn't happen again. Talking about growth. You determine your level of training. These preps are here to shape and mold your thinking, and your training is done on a local level in your office. I will promise you, if all you do is show up to these leadership academies and do the few assignments that you're given, and that's it, you will not be prepared to run a very successful office. You'll be all right, but it won't be great. It won't be nationally ranked. It certainly won't be a Silver Cup winning or anything that you want to do, right? So what I want you to write down is FAW, F-A-W. If you've never heard of FAW before, FAW stands for find a way. This is the most appropriate phrase to sum up the management process, right? Find a way. The challenges of the business are always going to happen. And I was reminded on our GM staff meeting earlier today, the challenges are not going away, and they're certainly not getting any easier. They're just going to get more tough. So don't wish it were easier. Challenge yourself to get better. Keep moving, keep adapting, keep learning, and keep being a student. Every office has problems, and the ability to minimize those problems is the difference between average and right above average. Okay, I'll tell you that when it comes down to it, right, who are the students, right, that get the best grades? Are they the ones that are the most talented? Are they the ones that have the most knowledge, right, or the highest, test scores? Not always, right? They're the ones who follow through with the assignments the most. In fact, most of the reason why you're getting a bad grade is because you're just not doing the homework. Almost always, at least in high school. College is a little bit different. Most of the time, while you have a bad grade in high school is you're just not doing the work. You're just not showing up, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Doesn't matter if you're at a public school or private school. How much of success is literally just showing up? And if you're not going to be a typical student, right? By the way, if all you do is show up and do the assignments in this, all you're doing is just showing up to class. You're not getting the homework done. You're not going above and beyond, right? That decision changes you forever. It puts you on a different level. It's okay to have fun and have a life, right? But understand that you got to realize one party now, right? One opportunity to hang out, stay up late with your friends and stuff like that. Cool. Well, that brings you short-term pleasure, but does it bring you long-term satisfaction? And I'll ask you this, what would you rather have, pleasure or satisfaction? What do you want to chase in your life? What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be the person who just constantly chases pleasure? Or do you want to be the person who is known for gaining satisfaction? Because for me, satisfaction is a lot more valuable than pleasure. Does that make sense? The pleasure of having free time and flexibility and being able to do this and that. Well, which one is going to be impacting you 5 years down the road and 10 years down the road? My goals were always more important, right, than my need for pleasure. Go to class, get good grades, right? Don't get arrested, right? Things like that. Brush your teeth, tie your shoes. That's what my parents always told me, right? But those weren't the things that helped me get ahead, right? So I want you to think about this. People don't like to see their friends develop faster than they're developing. So instead of congratulating you on growth, sometimes they give you flack. That's okay. The number one reason why your friends are making fun of you and telling you bad things about vector marketing is because of jealousy. And I'm a firm believer that anytime somebody talks bad about something, the number one reason is because they're jealous. They're jealous that you're willing to put in the work and they're not. They're jealous that you're getting ahead of the competition and they're not. I still have friends asking me when I'm going to get a real job and when I'm going to stop owning my own business and go to some big corporation. Right? I don't want a real job. Real jobs suck. Right? I want a real opportunity. And that's what I've got here at Vector Marketing. The path of mediocre should never distract the path of being a leader. Remember that the choices and the small choices that we make daily dictate the outcome of our future. Spider-Man says, these are the years that shape the person you end up becoming. So be on self and off purpose. On self and off purpose, right? Building a business with the right people. Building something that is good and being on purpose. Being off self and on purpose means not thinking during the interview. What are they thinking about me right now? Right? But instead, thinking, what am I looking, right, to accomplish out of this interview? And am I on the purpose of running it? Being distracted during training if somebody walks out. Oh no, will the rest of the people think my training sucks too and then walk out as well and lose control? Versus when you're off purpose and on self. AMs that are just not making it happen, not getting results. Can I do this? What if I can't do this? Can I make it happen? Payoff is big when you're off self and on purpose. And the glory of running your own office and the challenges and the wins because you are responsible. Your office fails, it's 100% on your shoulders. Your office dominates, also 100% on your shoulders. Our goal is to train you for success. So if it ever feels like we're being tough on you, whether it's, right, to save you more money, get your sales up, go to your office more, learn how to recruit better, it's because we're committed to you being great, and we know that that contributes to your future success. Increasing your commitment level now is more important to your success next summer. And the relationships that you build over the summer, right, you will be remembered, or you will remember forever. The relationships with the representatives, relationships with other branch managers and with your class of 2019, the glory of changing somebody else's life. Why are we working so hard this weekend and for this push? Working for people that haven't even heard about the job yet. Providing good leadership for those around us. What will branch training do for your level of belief in yourself, in your future? You will learn the tools and you will have the vision for it to succeed. It helps you get outside of the branch position as well for future dream jobs, right? So I want you to think about that. We're building something really special here. We're growing at a very rapid rate. And that means that we're all responsible for that future, right? We're not training you just to run a business. We are training you to be vector trained. We are training you to learn the skill sets that other people will never gain. And we're training you in a very, very healthy, non-judgmental way, right? That's going to help you put yourself in the best position for your long-term future. Everybody with me on that? So I wanted to make sure I shared that with you because right now, I need you guys to really believe in that, right? And to really understand that what we do now dictates where we're at next year and for 3 years to come. Cool? So before we jump into the teaching, I'd like to go ahead and ask for any contributions to startup. Remember, every time you come to our Leadership Academy, you should be contributing to your startup, right? And you should be posting it on GroupMe. So again, it's one thing to be minimum requirement to get yourself out to Olean. It's another thing to have an actual amount that you're going to contribute. And we only have one of these every month, right? For the matter of about 8 to 10 months before you open up. So how much are you contributing every time? And if you don't contribute now, I fully expect for you to get your manager a contribution or to bring one to Olean when you go. So does anybody have any money, any contributions that they want to pass up or contribute towards their startup right now? Anybody got some? Okay, good. So we have Mr. Brennan. And Brennan knocking out how much, Brennan?
$200.
$200 towards startups. That's pretty exciting. And I think, how much did you already have before this? $1,400, now putting himself at $1,600. So very nice work. Let's give him a round of applause. Nice job. And by the way, Brennan has not and is not in a position where he's had the biggest sales report and been making a ton of cash, but just continues to invest into his future, doing the right thing. So again, anything's better than nothing. Does anybody have $1, $5, $20, anything like that that you're going to contribute? Even if you're not giving it to me now, you know that it's happening, between now and Olean. Anybody else? Yes? How minutes?
I'm bringing totally.
Got it. How much you bring?
$100.
$100 to Olean. Got it. Cool. So let's give Isaac a one clap. 1, 2, 3. So it'll be exciting to add to your total. And what will that put you at?
Should put me right at $1,000.
Right at 1,000. Cool. All right. Very good. Well, everybody going to Olean should have some form of contribution when you go. So that's great. Any other people adding to their startup from other offices or?
Yeah. I'm Venmoing you $30 for startup.
All right, so $30 from Arham. So remind me to and text me so I can cut a check for it. And obviously, checks are always better. Make them out to Vector Marketing. But one clap for Arham. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Good. Anybody else? Yeah. Other than that, everybody's got their way in pay withheld. But okay. All right, cool. Well, again, I'm tracking this and I'm looking at it on our updated spreadsheet. So look forward to that for sure. All right, cool. Well, let's dive into the teaching content. We've got a couple of documents today. It's going to be skills teaching, all about driving demos and driving reps and helping them in their first week. And then we are going to do some role play at the end. So the first document, this was emailed out to all the DMs so you guys can make your copies and get them out to your people as well. But what I'd like to discuss is first week in PDI. So you guys want to take one of these and pass them around. This will be our teaching topic. And, you definitely want to be able to have notes out and be able to look at those notes as well as we're moving forward with this and making sure that you learn all of the stuff. So we're going to talk about first week in PDI. First week in PDI, in my opinion, is a lot different than overall PDI. And I'll tell you why for a couple of reasons, and we'll give you some examples as well as we move forward. So we're going to go through this document. I'm going to drag it over to the other screen so you guys can all see, and we'll get jumping in. So here is the first week in PDI document. Maybe. Can you guys see it? Can I get a thumbs up? I'm sharing my screen right now.
No, I can't see. I can't.
It's
see.
just the bar.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop my share and see if I can now restart my share with the right document. All right, we good now? Can I get a thumbs up? That better? All right, excellent. So here we go. First off, I want to share a couple of things with first week in PDI. Please write this down. I think that this is really important. Okay, we need to understand that when it comes to first week in PDI, okay, we say all the time to reps, personal sales fixes what?
Everything.
Everything. Cool. Well, as a manager, here's the quote you need to write down. Okay, first week in sales fixes what? Everything. Fast start sales fixes everything. If you get your reps off to an actual fast start, which means they're selling more than $1,000 in their first 3 days, they're selling more than $3,500 in their first 10 days, they are making $500. They're getting 100% raise. They're hitting 2 promotions. They're making over $500 in income, right? And the confidence and leads that come from that establish, right, the certainty and confidence that they can stick with it and get to something like Dirty 30 and beyond. And I know in our office, we've been talking a lot about how anything up until 10K is practice. The real job doesn't begin until you're at what in sales? $10,000, right? Anything up to that point is really just practice. And once you're at 10K, that's where you really start to grow and learn. But honestly, I didn't learn anything about sales until I was over $30,000. So we want to think about that, right, as we move forward. And our jobs as managers is to make sure that we do our absolute best to be tough on people to help them get to 10K as quickly as possible. And the first step to doing that is 3 things we're trying to accomplish in the first weekend. So I would make a list of this in your notes, right? The first thing we're trying to accomplish with a rep when they leave our training class is to make sure that they get their first what? They get their first what? Sale. And they need to get their first sale on their very first what? Demo. That's the way our training is written. That's the objective of our training. And that's not because it's high pressure or pushy, but that's because we know what it's like to not make your first sale your first week. Make sense? So whatever it takes, you got to make sure that you have that, and you got to make sure you keep that in mind. Everybody with me on that? Okay, cool. How do you guarantee that they get their first sale on their first demo? Make sure that their first demo is with what kind of client? A MAC client. And that means they're married, over 30, and we have a house. Not to mention we have a husband and a wife there, right? By the way, real quick, little quiz. Raise your hand if your first demo was your first sale. Raise your hand. Okay? Cool. And that's okay. I'm not raising my hand, by the way. So I'm not saying it's impossible to succeed if it's not, but if you were the person who got a first sale in your first demo, you should certainly tell that story on what that did for your confidence and where it got you. Everybody with me on that? Second goal that you're trying to accomplish that you can add to this list is for everybody in your training class to get their first set, what? Sale. Trying to get them to sell their first set. Now, if that's on the first demo, fantastic. But at least make sure that's in the first what? Weekend, right? No matter what. And your third goal that you're trying to accomplish here is to make sure that everybody hits their first what? Promotion, right? Get over $1,000. Why? Because they won a fork, an ice cream scoop, right? And a fisherman solution in their first 3 days. They're feeling pretty good about things and they got some momentum on their side, right? How long does it take to get a promotion in a normal job? Now, every single person is going to advance at a different rate. And you've got to make sure you know who your audience is when you're doing this first weekend coaching and so on and so forth. So let's review this document. Let's go over it. It says at the top, first weekend PDI. You know what personal PDI stands for? It stands for personal daily influence, right? Or personal daily impact. That's what we like to make it stand for. So at the top here, it says, stay organized. So use a system and take great notes. Okay? There's a few systems out there. The archaic system is all on paper. Beautiful thing about that is you don't need power, you don't need a laptop, you don't need internet to be able to update it, right? And it's something as simple as just something called a DDMF or a daily demo management form. And you just are able to get all their demos, write them on paper, and then make sure that you firm each one up and you know what the results are, right? My philosophy is use WebPDI. I personally love WebPDI. WebPDI just has an enhancement now that every order that's rolloed automatically syncs onto the actual PDI Excel spreadsheet. So now we don't have to spend any time guessing what those CPOs are and putting them in. So that's a pretty beautiful thing, right? So that way you know exactly how many demos you have for the future, and there's a lot of other really great benefits. But again, just make sure you have some system. Second thing it says here is to never blame, never reprimand, never show disappointment, and never critique over the phone. That means that you can do those things, right, at another time in the relationship, but certainly not in the first weekend. If you do those things in the first weekend, chances are that this rep is probably not going to want to work for you for too long. Does that make sense? So you got to be a little bit patient, and you got to give people grace. Third thing is it says attitude is what?
Everything.
All right. And it says you need to give them two things. What's number one? And the second, that was phenomenal. Wow. All right. The first thing is we need to give them what?
Energy.
And the second thing is we need to give them what?
Passion.
I would write down next to that, level 10. Level 10 with everything you do. People are only going to remember you by the times that they interact with you. And if you're not interacting with them, right, that frequently, right, then they're not gaining anything from you. But at the same time, you're not always at a level 10, are you? You're not always ready to give out energy and passion to your people. And if you're not, you got to act as if. So attitude is everything. It's about energy. It's about passion. Okay? Veterans, I think we can all think of times when we've, right, been at a level 10 and we've given people our energy and our passion and what kind of results we've gotten from that. And then we've also been at times where we haven't. And we've had some, right, from pretty big conflicts that have come from that, or consequences, right? So your objective of PDI is to make sure that you make people feel what?
Good.
And you make sure that you get them to book more what?
Demos.
And that is it. Your call, the words are not necessarily important as much as the music, but you've got to nail your objectives. Every time you talk to somebody, your goal is to make them feel better than they did when they called you, because if they feel worse, do you think they're going to continue calling them? And managers, when you actually run your first training, if you have people who are not communicating with you your first weekend and you don't nip that in the butt and cut it off right away and get them to do it, it's never going to improve, and those reps are going to go completely MIA. So you've heard it, right, from coaches and people growing up. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It's so true as a leader. And in this business, if they're not calling in before, during, and after every demo the first weekend, chances are you're never going to get them to. Make sense? So make sure that you have systems of accountability and you follow up with every demo. Okay? A great message for you to write down as an action step would be to look up Andrew Evans from SLC this year. And Andrew Evans talked about how in every single training class this summer that he ran, by the way, his office is going to finish in the first 8 months around $800,000. It's a lot of money. There was never one demo all summer long that they did not follow up with verbally and talk to the rep afterwards for the first week. Not once. Every single demo. And his office recruited over 200 people this summer. Was followed up with, and they found a way to get in touch with people on a verbal phone call for the first 3 days. You bring that level of accountability and certainty to your business, right? What kind of habits and what kind of culture do you breed for every other day after that, right? Because true habits of a representative are created in the first weekend, aren't they? And so it's your responsibility. You owe it to them to make sure that every time you talk to them, they feel better than they did when they called, okay? And you also make sure that they understand they need to get back on the phone and book more what? Demos. Is there any such thing as too many demos here? Never such a thing. And in somebody's fast start, right now, you need to understand that non-summer and vector summer are completely two different animals, right? So here's the deal. In somebody's fast start during a summer, I don't believe that you're really working unless you have at least 3 demos in a day, right? So here's a great thing to write down, right? 2 a day equals okay. 3 a day equals good. 4 a day equals great. And 5 a day equals baller status. And by the way, you could be implementing that type of mentality and culture into your organization right now if you chose to, right? So every day of a rep's fast start, if this is their actual fast start, this is their actual summer job, they're not working anywhere else, and they're trusting in us enough to listen to what they heard in the interview, come into our training, and sit through 2 days of unpaid training, then we owe it to them to make sure that there is not one day in their fast start, right, that they were planning to work, that they don't actually complete what? Demos. There should not be one day. Not one. And honestly, every day should have at least 2. That way, if one reschedules, they get another one, right? Do you guys follow me there?
Yes.
Every single day they need to have demos. So what are your standards and what are you promoting from the podium? We all have the same videos. We all have the same press play. But the difference is how you follow up, right? That's where it really comes from. So let's keep going over this. It says 10-80-10 rule, right? Some get off to a fast start, okay? Some get off to a slow start, but you got to treat everybody like a future rep. If you don't know what 10-80-10 means, here's what 10-80-10 is, okay? We used to say this all the time in old school vector training. Hey guys, one last thing before you leave that I want to tell you, and you can still say this at the end of the video training. 10% of you are about to go out there and have the worst weekend of your life. Seriously. First one was going to reschedule. Second one's going to no-show, right? Grandma who said she'd buy everything is going to buy nothing from you. You're going to wake up tomorrow to having strep throat, or you're going to have a flat tire. All examples of people I've actually trained. And it's going to be terrible. And you're going to feel like quitting every day. And you're not going to want to show up to Advanced Training 1. And if that's you, you're the person who needs to come to Advanced Training 1 the most. You're the person who needs to show up with a smile on your face, give everybody a high five and say, hey, I'm the one who had the 10% bad luck, but after every bad week comes a what? A good week, and I'm going to be back on top. More than half of my fast start is ahead of me, and I'm coming after you. So if you're that 10%, that is not permission to give up because you can do anything for 10 days, and I expect you to commit to this job for a minimum of 10 days. 80% of you are about to go out there and have average. Can I tell you what average is in our office? Average is that you go out there and you have a few cancellations or reschedules, but you do whatever it takes to guarantee that you complete 7 demos. Because when you complete 7 demos, you will sell $1,000 for the Cutco. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. You're going to win a fork, an ice cream scoop, and a fisherman solution. You're going to make $100. You're going to get a 50% raise, and you'll be back in training feeling good about your fast start and going after something like 3K, 5K, or 10K. And just so you know, we've had many people sell only 1,000 in their first 3 days and still sell over 10,000 for their fast start. So if that's you, that's totally normal. In fact, the only reason you wouldn't hit average is because you didn't complete at least how many demos? 7, exactly. And the last 10% of you, you're about to go out there and you're about to rip it up. First demo was Homemaker, second one's an Ultimate. You're over 3K your first night. We've even had reps who sold over $10,000 their first night on the job. But that's not everybody. And if that's you, I just want to be honest, you're the person I'm most concerned about. You're the person I'm most fearful about, because I'll tell you this, that when you have immediate success, it's really easy to get complacent. And complacency is the enemy of consistency and success. So if you're the 10% gets off to the fastest start, you're the person I'm most nervous about, and you're also the person that I'm going to be the most tough on to keep that momentum rolling so that you can break the state record and go after $20,000. But it doesn't matter if you're part of the 10, the 80, or the 10. Either way, that represents 100% of you, and I expect all of you to show back up on advanced training and make sure that we continue to commit to this thing no matter how tough it is. Everybody cool with that? Awesome. And then you can wrap up your training, right? But that's what 10-80-10 means. Everybody with me on it? Sweet. Move to the next one. Next one says promote. What should you be promoting? Promoting from calling from every demos, getting great deals, right? You can use up to 25 points per 100 to seal the deal, and you could even not teach it the secret weapon during the training, but you could definitely teach it over the phone when they're calling in for good deals. And you'd be amazed at the feeling, right? When reps call you and they're like, yeah, I mean, my mom really wants the Homemaker Bailey, but she's just a little uncomfortable on the price, and it's just too much money, man. Oh, yeah, really? You offer the Silver Cup special, right, or the cash discount. Is there anything you can do to help me, right? And you sound like this god, right? And you're just like, yeah, let me help you out, right? And they're like, really? We can do that? Oh, man, thank you so much, right? And then we crush the Homemaker, right? And at the end, they call you and they get super pumped about it, right? So again, never be afraid to hook them up with the best deal possible. Why? Because remember this, you're making 25%, they're only making 10, right? So realize you're making more money than they are right off the bat, okay? And so whatever it takes to close that deal, let's make it happen. Also, them getting a sale is priceless for their confidence, yes? So whatever it takes to get that sale, make it happen. And also, who are they doing demos for? They're doing demos with their friends, their family. They should get the biggest hookup. I never feel guilty about going over, right, the normal point value in a rep's first weekend to hook their family up. Because without the family, they wouldn't even be able to succeed here. We don't give out leads, right? So it should be a giver's gain type of relationship here, no doubt. I really dislike some of the regions that have a culture of not giving out free stuff. There are regions where literally their manual says, if you buy the Homemaker today, I will give you a peeler for free. And that's all they teach their reps. They don't even teach cash discounts or free stuff. Yikes. Cool? So let's move on. Let's go through this. It says there are a few different types of conversations and PDI calls that you will have. The first one is with an incoming top rep, right? If an incoming top rep gets a big sale, don't overreact. They are a top what? Rep, right? So don't overreact. You should congratulate them, but follow the guidelines below. Big sales are pretty normal. Hey man, my client just bought a signature set with steak knives, and I didn't really give them anything for free because they just really wanted it. Hey, that's awesome, man. Nice work. How's it feel to sell your first set? So my response with them would be completely different than my response with an incoming low flyer. Big sale? Dude, I'm going to make a big deal out of that one, right? I'm going to make sure that I get really excited. Isaac, so mom bought a trimmer and a spatula? Dude, she is going to love those freaking knives. Tell me about the demo. How much food did you cut? Oh, that's so awesome. You realize that when she gets those, she's going to love them so much, she's just going to want to continue to add Cutco on. And you know the response you get from the rep? It's normally like this. Dude, she even told me that. She's buying these 2 pieces now, and if she likes them, she's going to call back and buy the big set. You see that? But my response is going to be different to a low-level rep than, right, a top-level rep based on a big set. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Right. I guess that wasn't really a big sale with 2 pieces. You guys get the point, right? Maybe he sells a homemaker to his mom and dad. Anyway, okay, small sale for incoming top rep. Small sales add up. Hey, no worries. Hey, if dude, listen, I know all they bought was 1 piece and you expect them to buy a homemaker, but they probably had some reasons on why it wasn't going to work out. Were they at least interested in a homemaker? Oh, they loved it. They just said right now it's not the right time. Don't worry about it, man. Did you do your best? Okay, is there anything you feel like you could have done better at? All right, well, don't worry about it. Dude, those small ones are just as important as the big ones. And as long as you're promoting the 5-pay and you're promoting the sets and dropping down properly, you're doing your job. Just remember, some will, some won't. Who cares who's next? Just keep doing it. You're doing great. And what I'm really fired up about is if you're already getting those small sales to people now and keeping your closing percentage high, imagine what happens after you've done another 20, 30, or 40 demos. Dude, if you go after 10K for your fast start and 40 demos, when you've completed 40 demos, how good are you going to be at this demo? And by that point, can you imagine that piece sale is going to become a starter set? Your starter sets will become homemakers, and your homemakers become ultimates. I mean, look at what you're already accomplishing without having a lot of experience. I'm so proud of you. Right? But you got to get them back on board because top reps just want big sales to everybody, and they don't like the law of averages. Cool? Look at the last one, right? No sale. Hey, no big deal. Got it out of the way. And I love when reps call in for a no sale. Let me just clarify. One of the best conversations you can have with a no sale rep, right? And I love this because I'm watching Melissa take detailed notes. I'm watching other people like write down quotes, write down ways to respond. We're about to role play for 15 minutes with a partner. So I hope that you're doing that. But here's the reality, right? When you have a no sale, okay, make sure that you tie them into the fact that no sales are part of getting the sales. It's part of the process. Dude, you had a no sale? Awesome. Hey, just so you know, it normally takes 7 demos to sell $1,000, and on average, only 4 of those are going to be sales. So the good news now is it's kind of like a deck of cards. You know, you got the bad hand out of the way, and at this point, right, you've still got 2 more bad hands and 4 more great hands. So it was only your first demo, man. Don't worry about it. Who's your next one for? And I don't even give them the time of the day. It's not worth our time, right? We can't change what's already happened, right? You know, a couple of good questions that Bailey's really good about asking, and he asks this very frequently on his PDI calls, is he says, okay, what do you feel like you did the best at? Okay, awesome. And what do you feel like if there's one thing you could get better at, it would be? Awesome. Well, when's your next demo? Perfect. So how are you going to get better at it before your next appointment? What can you do differently? And most of the time when a rep isn't selling their first weekend, you know why? It's because they're not having enough what? Not having enough fun. Okay? How deep is your conviction in the fact that our training works and our program is awesome? I'll tell you this. If a rep isn't selling, it's either because they're not showing the right people or they're not following the program. That's it. It doesn't go beyond that. And what is the program? The program is you have to follow your what? Manual. And you have to read it word for what? Word. And I discuss this and go it over and over and over and over and over again in training. And I get it. Some of you are like, dude, I don't really read my manual. Well, cool. You must be really talented then. Just saying. But most of the reps you're going to recruit don't have your talent. They don't have your ability, right? And talent is not duplicatable. Our program is. Does that make sense? So teach your people how to read the manual word for what? Word. Okay, and tell stories about people who have and got off to tremendous amounts of success, and then tell stories about people who haven't and how much they flopped. Okay, what's number 2? Well, they need to make sure that they cut a lot of what? A lot of what?
Food.
A lot of what?
Food.
And what's the magic number?
5.
A minimum of 5. Any less than 5, you don't have enough value bill. And by the way, some of you right now are making big sales and you're not even cutting food, or you're cutting one type. Well, my question to you is, what would have happened if you would have cut more? If you're selling a homemaker right now because you cut a pineapple, what would have happened if you would have cut 4 other types of food? I remember going into a lady's house and said, I'm not going to buy anything. I already have the homemaker. I don't need anything. I've already seen the catalog. I've already used it all. And I said, great. And she was cooking. And she's like, crap, you have all my knives. You're sharpening them. And I said, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and just try? I know you don't want to buy anything, but I've got some extras here. They're clean. Why don't you just try this one out? It's one of my favorites. I handed her the Hardy Slicer. She was shredding chicken to be able to throw into a stew. By the way, that one thing got her cutting food. Then we cut more food. And by the end of the demo, we had cut, what's the magic number? 5. She upgraded to an ultimate. And that was totally luck, because she wasn't even willing to try out any of the new pieces to cut food. But because she had no other options, she had to use one of them. So I was very intentional about not giving her a petite carver she already owned, giving her something she didn't. It's amazing. And the third rule, right, is they've got to have a lot of what? They got to be themselves, right? They got to show up the right way. Read, cut, smile, sell does not get better or any easier than that, right? So if a rep's not selling, it's one of those reasons, okay? Cool. So let's look at an incoming low flyer, right? They get a big sale, big deal. If they have a small sale, still make a big deal out of it and paint the picture on how those add up. You realize if you're just having 2 small average sales for $250 a week, that's $500 a week. $500 a week over the course of a month is an extra $2,000 in sales that you can add to that. Dude, you do that for all 4 months over the course of the summer, that's an extra $8,000. So I really hope that you're not disappointed or frustrated that that was only a piece order for $200. I've probably sold over a few $1,000s in just vegetable peelers over my career. Thank God we have a vegetable peeler, right? Every sale matters, okay? And making sure they understand the importance of that. And if it is a no sale, hey, no big deal. Tell me about it. I was hearing Bailey do a phenomenal job in a PC the other day having these conversations. And you're never good enough, right, to not have to improve. You're never good enough to not have more lines that you can use for your arsenal, right? Just make sure that if a low flyer is having a no sale, the reasons behind that is they're not cutting enough food, they're not following the manual, they're not dropping down properly, right? Or not having enough fun. Most of them don't even drop down at all. Do you want the homemaker? No? Sweet. Thanks so much for seeing me today. Really appreciate it. I love when the reps call me and they're like, hey, I'm headed to my demo, right? 20 minutes later, hey, man, I finished up my demo. Back in the call, I'm going to my next one. I called my mom to move it up. A rep does a 20-minute demo. How do you respond to that? Welcome to your future as a manager. So look up below that. It says accountability, ongoing. If a rep is not calling in. If a rep is not calling in, what would be some reasons behind that? You tell me.
Sorry.
If a rep's not calling in, what would be some reasons behind that?
They're embarrassed.
They're embarrassed. Number one reason a rep doesn't call in because they're worried that you're going to judge them, and you're going to judge them based on their results or lack thereof, yes? So what kind of relationship do you have with people, and what kind of culture do you have? We tell people all the time that we're not going to judge you on results. We'll only judge you on effort and what? Attitude. And I like to say there's 3 things we judge our reps on, right? It's having a positive attitude. It's having, right, extraordinary work ethic, and making sure that you have great communication. I tell the story all the time of my first summer in Denver. And in 2012, in Denver, my number 1 rep sold around $35,000, right? New territory. That same summer, there was a rep that sold only $6,000. By the way, at the end of the summer, we were having our last team meeting until everybody went away to school. And let me tell you what happened, right? The rep that sold $35,000, okay, got promoted for hitting their 30K promotion, making over 10 grand, blah, blah, blah. They got a slight round of applause by everybody. But this rep that finally hit their $6,000 promotion, that rep had started earlier than the other one, all the way at the beginning of the summer in May. They hadn't even sold $1,000 during their fast start, okay? Hadn't even sold $1,000 during their fast start. This was a representative that also, after their first weekend, tried to quit on us, had another job, but this rep was tied into growing into the best version of themselves. They showed up to every single event, never missed a meeting or a conference. They showed up every single time for phone jams and things like that. Not once did they miss it. And this rep was always positive, always gave high fives, and always sat in the team meetings giving everybody a huge round of applause. This rep had literally a career 40% closing. And their average order was below $150. That's how hard that rep had to work to get to $6,000. And at the end of the summer, the last team meeting before that rep went off to college, I'll never forget this memory. He got recognized, his name was Michael, for selling $6,000 and hitting that promotion. And we had over 25 people at that team meeting. And he got a standing ovation from that group. So what do you want your office culture to be based on? Do you want your office culture to be based on results where all you ever recognize is that? Hey, you're a badass if you sell a lot. Or do you want a team that's based on work ethic? Do you want a team that doesn't back down when things are tough? Do you want a team that supports and acknowledges the fact that, right, attitude and effort are far more important than results in CPO? And that's a decision that you have to make because your office has a culture whether you like it or not. Make sense? So if a rep isn't calling in, the number one reason is because of embarrassment. What's another big reason a rep isn't calling in? Last time they talked to you, they didn't feel better than they did when they called you. Or because you did one of the things that says never at the top, blaming, reprimanding, showing disappointment, or critiquing over the phone, which, just so we're clear, is very easy to do when bullets are flying and emotions are high in the summer. And I get it. It's like, gosh, like, all right, I get this, Nick. I've heard this before. I've been through this document a million times. Cool. Well, if you're really that good at this stuff, wouldn't you be getting better results? Right? That's what I would be thinking about right now. And how many times can you practice these conversations before next summer to be able to get those types of results? So if a rep isn't calling in their first night, I'm going to do whatever it takes to discuss that with the rep. Rep doesn't have any demos that first night. I should be talking to that rep even more to make sure that they book up demos. Right? Rep has another job that first night. Hey, that's fine, but I still want to make sure we establish the lines of what? Communication. And I talk to everybody within a few hours before, right, or after they leave training. Cool? Explain the importance of PDI. What's in it for them? If you guys look there, it says WIIFT. That stands for what's in it for them. What are the benefits of them calling in? The coaching, the mentoring, the motivation, the teaching. Right? I get fired up about talking to you guys. You're never annoying me. It's another thing Bailey gets all the time. I'm sure and other managers do, right? Oh, I don't want to call you because I don't want to bother you. Hey, I appreciate your concern for bothering me, but one of the reasons I do this job is because I love celebrating other people's success. And as we build our relationship, let me tell you something about myself. I get more bothered by people not calling me than when people do, no matter when that is. Let me tell you why. Again, do you notice how I'm not blaming, reprimanding? I'm not getting emotional about this conversation. I'm just being honest and telling them what's true. Right? That way they don't feel like they're reprimanded or judged, right? There's a different way that I could say that versus when somebody calls in, right? Finally, and it's like, hey, you finally called. What the heck? Why didn't you call me earlier? I won't ever call you again. And some of us say those things and we don't even know it. Right? So keep that in mind. Okay? Reset your expectations. I think you could be an incredible rep, and I want you to help out our team in hitting our goals. But I don't see that happening if we don't establish better communication habits. So here's my commitment to you. What are you committed to moving forward? Cool. Can we make this the last time that we have to re-explain communication? Great, thanks. When's your next demo? Right? By the way, if you want to learn how to have these really great conversations effectively and not take a lot of time, then you should probably read The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. He's going to teach you the formula about how it doesn't have to be awkward. It doesn't have to take long, right? The 1 minute management, right? Pop quiz. Who can tell me, right, the 3 tips and 3 things we learned from the 1 Minute Manager? By the way, the assignment was to have that book read at this point. So,
One thing I took away from the 1 Minute Manager that's always stuck with me is one touch.
okay, cool. It's a good tip that comes from it. It's not the one I'm looking for, right? But there's 3 fundamentals of 1 minute management. What are they? 60% of the way there. And we got a lot of people that clearly need to reread or read that book for the first time. So you talked about 1 minute reprimand, right? When somebody doesn't do what they're expected to do, there's a 1 minute reprimand, right? And it gives you direct lingo on how to have that. You talked about 1 minute praise when somebody does do something, catching people doing things right and making sure that what you appreciate appreciates, right? And what would be the last one that needs to happen after either 1 minute praise or 1 minute reprimand?
1 minute goals.
1 minute goal setting. It needs to be a 1 minute goal setting. What's going to be different in the future? How's that going to change? Okay, perfect. Great. Here's the agreement. We're on the same page, right? Here's what I'm expecting. Can you say that back to me? Good. Perfect. Let's move on. Cool. All right, excellent. Let's go down. Below that, it says key questions and focus areas, right? When you're doing PDI, these can be, this is not like you'd ever have a checklist, right? So Zane, what food did you cut? Uh-huh. What do you feel like you're doing well? Uh-huh. Okay, right? Like if you feel like you're, right, having an assessment here, right? Or your teacher is like putting you through 21 questions, bad idea, yes? So here's the deal. These are just questions that you can, use to build that conversation. And I like to say this, in your first weekend, after, not for like check-in for a demo or calling in the middle, but the call at the end of the day or the call at the end of the demo, the average call should take no less than how long? 5 minutes, right? A checkout PDI call, if done properly, should last about 5 minutes, right? If you really want to make an impact. Okay, so start to challenge yourself to test that. When you have that call, if it gets awkward or you get to the place of a little bit uncomfortable silence in less than 5 minutes, that's your responsibility. Learn how to become better at asking questions and continuing a conversation, right? So here's some good conversations to add to that. What food did you cut? Cool. What 5 things did you focus on, right? Hey, what do you feel like you're doing well at? And what do you feel like you need to work on? Okay, following the manual promotion. Oh man, it was really cool. I just talked to blank rep, and when they got off the phone with me, yeah, they sold a Homemaker Plus 8, but I asked them, what's the biggest tip that I could share with the other 10 people in the training? And they said, dude, I just read the manual word for word. How cool is it, Brennan, that if you just read the script, it works? And if this rep that was in their same training class that sat next to them just dropped a Homemaker, and I'm sharing that kind of tip, man, what's that going to do to influence them, right? Okay, another one on here, recommendations. How many did you get? Wait, number one reason why reps don't get recommendations is because of why? They don't ask. They literally just forget to ask. And you know what? How are they ever going to get better at their recommendation game if you don't hold them accountable to it? On every single checkout PDI call, you should be always asking 3 things, right? How did it go, right? Which is basically we're getting to what did you sell? What was the result, right? Okay, the second thing we should ask is how many recommendations did you get? And the third thing that we should be asking is what? We already did that. That's number 2. No. We already covered that, right? How much did your customer donate to the front row? I want to know results of demo, referrals, and did we get a donation, right? In the first week, and those would be the 3, okay? And of course, I'm driving more demos and making sure they have 5+ booked ahead, so on and so forth, right? Okay, recommendations. How many did you get? Rolo, orders ASAP, okay? It's funny because a lot of reps, right, especially first weekend, they have issues with their mobile device or getting it online, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I sold this. I'm always going on a web PDI and Vector Connect to verify that it's been entered. Because so many times I've had reps where they're like, oh yeah, I sold an Ultimate. That's awesome. And I literally ask nothing more. And if it's their first weekend, right, then I wait until Monday and I'm like, I thought Isaac had an Ultimate. Where was that? Hey, what's up, Isaac? I'm just checking in. That big order you said you had, it's not on Rolo. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, they had to run, so I actually didn't get the payment, but I know them really well. And they definitely said they were going to call me and buy from me. Oh yeah, cool. Well, have you called them back since? Oh yeah, I followed up on Sunday and then bro, like, literally their freaking like dryer or water heater just broke. I don't remember what it was, but they just said they couldn't afford it anymore. So sorry, man. And I get it. Like every one of you is looking at me right now and you're like, what an idiot. I would never do that. Yeah. And that's why you're a manager. That's why you're in Leadership Academy, right? And that's why they're not. Does that make sense? So little details. Oh, cool. You got an Ultimate sold? Awesome, man. Well, hey, I want to make sure it's been put in properly. Have you completed it on Rolo? You have. Perfect. What was the last page you saw? Okay, awesome. Do you know what your net CPO was? How did your customer pay? Good. Did they do payments? Cool. What form of payment did they use? I'm not saying you would ask all of those questions, right? But that would be a slew of examples of questions to use to verify that the order's actually been entered and it's been processed properly. Everybody with me on that? Sweet. Okay, next one. Simple tips. 5-pay. Drop down. 1 step at a time. The importance of that. How it makes a customer feel more comfortable. Cutting more food. Getting more excited. Having more fun. Following the manual more. Right? Calling the office for better deals. And telling stories because those are an unbiased way of influence. Okay, next one, PR promotion. Any friends coming in? Hey man, I know that you gave us all of the contacts in your phone and we sent out that conveyor message. Is your phone getting blown up right now? Dude, I've had 10 friends already wanting a job. No way. That's awesome. Any of those on your best 5? Perfect. Can you send me that contact info? Right? So we can see if we can get more of them booked up, and using that as a way to continue that excitement for their future. A couple last things that are on here that we should talk about is connecting, creating excitement, and creating action, the 3 different C's. So connect, recognize effort or performance, not just results. Appreciate the importance to the team, right? And appreciate them for calling in. One of the things I always like to appreciate, especially the first weekend, is thanking them just for what? Calling me. Hey, thank you so much for calling, Zane. I know it sounds like a chore to you and it sounds pretty boring, but to me it means all the difference, man. Because honestly, it helps me do my job more effectively and coach you to the best possible chance of success. So really appreciate you checking in. How'd the demo go? Never a bad idea to try to thank them before you start talking. Okay? And are you having fun? That's always a by the way last bit of conversation. People don't remember the rest of it. They remember the last thing you said. Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And I think I've done this with all of you at some point, right? Hey, by the way, just want to check. Are you having fun? Oh, yeah, man. I'm really loving the job. And if you don't get a immediate oh, yeah, for sure, they're probably lying to you. Hey, are you having fun? Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, what's fun about it? And then I'm going to ask the follow-up question. Cool. What's not fun and what are your concerns and fears right now? And I'm going to open up that door. Right? Because if I don't, then I'll never be able to later. They're going to quit. Can't tell you how many reps I've had. I had one time in my training that I had literally, right, a training class of 15 people or something like that go out there, okay? 4 out of the 15 hit their first promotion, their first weekend. 3 out of those 4 literally quit before advanced training 1. Because I didn't follow up and handle their objections of not having fun. And nobody wants to do a job that they're not what? And sometimes sales success doesn't mean anything. Right? So that sucked. All their sales processed, all their sales went through, they got paid on the sales, right? They made $100 and they bounced. That was crappy. That was really crappy, right? Because that takes the wins out of your sales pretty quick. Let's talk about the next one, creating excitement, talking about hot news. How often are you sharing hot news? I remember when I was brought up in Vector old school, fast start hotline, this Nick, who's this? Brennan, yeah, cool, you in the demo, don't worry about it. Hey, our team is on fire right now. Blank just happened, and Blank just sold this, and so-and-so just got this many recommendations. Dude, we are lit. Right? Oh, okay. Well, you're on speakerphone with my mom and dad right now, and oh, okay. Sweet. Right? So I've kind of gotten away from that, right? But what level of energy are you bringing to the call? Are they fired up? One of the ways you can tell that people are really tied in is they'll ask you, hey, how's the team doing? Hey, Isaac, how's the rest of the reps in my training class doing right now? Dude, you get those types of questions, and you got somebody who is bought into your vision and wants to stick with you, right? Cutco promotion. How easy is this to sell? Right? Here's one of my favorite questions. What demonstration were they the most impressed with?
Scissors.
Sweet. That's awesome. That's cool. Do you just cut the pennies? You do a cool, right? We need to go back to when we were new reps and get just as excited about their first as we were for our first. Make sense? Okay, cool. A couple other things in here. Income promotion. I love that one, right? Hey, Bailey, nice work. I know it was just a starter set and you sold around 500 CPO. Dude, at 10%, you made $50. Can I tell you what's really exciting about that? What's really exciting, this is your first night. You're only at 10%. And if you keep on the straight and narrow of doing about 3 to 4 demos a day, you're going to be able to knock out 4 promotions and get to 10K quickly. Now, not only are you going to be able to have a 300% raise and be able to win a hand signed letter from the CEO, be able to qualify for Dirty 30, be one of the top reps in our office, and be eligible for some management training in the future because we need more staff. But more importantly, you're going to be at 30%. And I know this sale, you wanted to have a homemaker, but it was only a starter set. Realize that 40 demos from now, your skills will be at that level. But more importantly, even if you still just sell starter sets, a 500 CPO order at 30% means you make $150 in an hour. Man, how sick is that? So how quick can we get you to 10K? Here's my favorite example of that. When a rep has an average sale, if they're at 30%, they make $75. That's a full day's pay at any other hourly job that they hit. You got that in a demo. And how many more demos do you have today? Oh, 3? Yikes. It's going to be a big day. We're always painting pictures. We're always promoting vision, right? Future income promotion. We just did that. Advanced Training 1. Advanced Training 1 is going to be awesome. You're going to learn so much. And then having a story or having an arsenal of stories to tell. We've had people come to Advanced Training 1 not even making their first sale. And because they learned the secret weapon, right afterwards, sell their first set or sell their first Homemaker Plus 8. My story is one of my favorites. I went out there my first weekend, first demo no sale, second demo no sale, finally got my first set sale. After I sold my first set, how do you think I felt? A lot more confident. And then after that, every other demo was a sale. Now, there were only pieces, and I barely sold $1,000 my first weekend. Out of the 10 people in my training class, I came in and I was subpar. I was average. I was probably at the bottom of the pack. I'm not used to being in that place. I even told my manager in advanced training that if I didn't start making a lot of money, I probably wasn't going to be around for very long. So my manager said that I needed to get on the program and start to actually commit to working it like a job instead of a hobby. So he forced me to come in the next morning. I got there at 7:30, and the next day I started actually booking my best 5. And that day I had a total of 5 demos, 4 sales. I sold 3 Homemaker Plus 8s, and I made $500 in a day. All because of what I learned at advanced training. You'd be crazy to not go to your advanced training. Are you fired up to learn more? Sometimes the people that don't go to the advanced trainings are the ones who get off to the strongest starts because they don't feel like they need it. Right? Everybody needs advanced training. What's next promotion, right? Always talking about what's next, what's next, what's next. It's not a question of if you're going to hit something. It's a question of how fast will you get there, right? Here's a great thing to write down next to that or in your notes, next 1,000. Any PDI call, first weekend or second week or anytime, I'm always talking to reps about when do you think you can reach your next what? 1,000. I'm talking to Zane, it's when can you reach your next 5,000? But, you know, it's all about the audience that you have, right? It's like, oh, got it. You had a 5K order. Cool. So when are you going to get to your $40,000 mark? They can't even keep up with 1,000, right? He sells 1,000 while he's sleeping. I'm still trying to figure out how to get on that program. Anyway, moving forward, right? The last one we have here is creating action. Phoning, hitting your demo goal. Weekend is the best time to what? Phone. Everybody's available, right? Did you make your 5 what? And 5 what? After. Oh, you didn't? Got it. Well, hey, why don't you make those calls real quick and then call me back and we'll check in on your demo. Being unwilling to coach people unless they're following the program. Who wants to go to Paris? Okay, as a branch manager, it takes $125,000. That takes 1,125 demos. I'll tell you this, it's a heck of a lot easier to get to 1,125 demos if after every demo a rep completes, they book another what? Because that's exponential growth. But for some reason, we just don't do it. We don't ask our people to. We don't hold them accountable to. This summer, I guarantee you that in the pilot office, there was at least another $100,000 or plus $1,000 in business if we just would have been more intentional about getting our people to make 5 before and 5. But none of us did it. Or if we did it, we didn't do it enough. So, creating action, phoning, hitting your demo goal, always having how many demos ahead of you, right? Phoning immediately after a sale when you're the most positive and you're the most committed to the actions. Okay, demo goal, how many more can we book up? Focus on 10 demo minimum assignment, right? That is the goal. Arriving with 5, 10, 15. Reps that always show up with demos, right, are always reps that have a big paycheck ahead of them. Starting booking up your week as soon as possible. Contacts, how quickly can you get to mission 100? Next demo, when is it? Okay, that's the last demo today. Well, listen, Ayame, we're only looking at about noon. I guarantee that you could book some same-day demos. So who are some people on a Saturday that literally have nothing going on that you could call right now and book up? Let's make a list of your best 5. Okay, great. Do you have anybody that's booked for tomorrow or Monday that we could call and reschedule it for today? Listen, we only have 1 demo completed so far. This is your first weekend. We have a 10 demo minimum assignment goal. And if you only have 1 on the Saturday, it's going to be really hard to reach that. So there's 2 ways to show up and do advanced training. 1, the first way is without even completing 7 demos and not selling $1,000. The second way is to take a lot of action, a lot of effort, put it in right now, knock out 10 demos, and probably be at $2,000 or $3,000, knowing you've already made $300 to $400 on the job. What would you prefer? Okay, sweet. Then let's get on the phone right now and let's make some calls. Again, what am I doing? I'm an artist, right? Painting the picture. Okay, a couple last things, right? Okay, building confidence, simple tips to get the next demo, and then accountability, PDI expectations, calling in, so on and so forth. Yes? Questions, concerns, comments? I know I was very specific and detailed, but I hope a lot of those conversations helped you. Any nuggets? Any breakthroughs? Nobody's saying that. I would appreciate it. I run better training if you actually tell me that, yeah, instead of looking at me like you're just bored. All right, take one, pass it around. Second demo we're going to cover right now is a document called Driving Demos, all right? I want you to write this down in your notes. Every demo equals 100 what? No, CPO, but it looks like dollars. So let's talk a little bit about this, right? We don't get paid on the dollar amount. Newsflash, we get paid on CPO. All right, let's talk about driving demos. At the top of this document, you're going to notice it says how much CPO can you generate through driving what?
Demos.
Your job as a manager is to get more recruits or book more demos. That is it. So it says $100 per demo. Let's say that your office has 100 demos booked up. Well, if you complete 70 of those, because nationally we only complete about 70% of the demos that we book, okay, they're not all going to be sales. And if we get 40 sales times the 250 average order, that's $10,000. If we initially had a total of 100 demos booked up, every demo we book is worth 100 CPO. Everybody with me on this? I know it says dollars, but that's just so we understand it, right? Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means that we don't have to be emotionally attached to reschedules anymore, do we? We don't have to be emotionally attached to cancellations. We don't have to be emotionally attached to no-shows or any of that stuff, do we? So why are we? Why are we so attached to results? Because that's the way we were raised and we're human. That's the way the education system tells us to be. Everything's results-based. But the reality is we don't have to worry about the results because we can trust in the fact that business is a numbers what? And if we just play the game, we win. If we just play the game, we win. We know for a fact that it can't be worse than this. Can it be better? Heck yeah. This summer it was way better. We were kicking ass. There were weeks that we had like 260 demos and we were ending up finishing at like 35 to 40,000 in sales, which makes me question what would have happened if we would have had 350 to 400 demos. Then what we would have been selling. It can only be better, but never worse. Does that make sense? And if it really is worse, then are you using video training and are you actually following any of what you've been taught? I'm sorry, but I've just never seen an office that follows a program get worse results than $100 per day. Okay? So let's look over ways that you can drive demos. The first one is through phone jams. And you don't need to wait till next summer. If you're a leader in your office right now, you should be running at least a couple of phone jams or participating in 3 every week. Yes? Okay. These could be virtual phone jams or face-to-face phone jams, but here's the deal. 1 rep at a phone jam, 3 demos, 300 extra CPO. You do that 7 times throughout the week, that's an extra $2,100. So even if it's a brand new office and you've only had 1 training class, all it takes is getting 1 rep to that phone jam, and that could be worth $2,000 for that week. What happens if you have 10 people coming in? Now we're looking at $21,000 extra in sales because you ran a phone jam a day, 1 phone jam a day, and you had 10 people show up. Woo! That's why we do Breakfast Club. That's why we show up at 8 a.m. and we don't leave till 9 p.m. It's gold period, baby. It's where we make a lot of our money. Let's talk about team phone jams. How good are you getting people to come to the event, right? How many in attendance times 3 scheduled every time, right? Well, think about that. You get 10 reps at a phone jam, right? Or an event like team meeting, 30 demos, $3,000. But what's the difference of being a big-time recruiter and having 50 people at your team meeting? I've had times before that at 1 team meeting, we have consistently booked over 100 demos. I've been talking to a lot of people about something called build hours recently. Let me ask you this, right? How much do you want to be paid for running your team meeting? In the summertime, it's about a 2 to 3 hour event. Well, I'll tell you this, if your team meeting produces a total of 10 demos, then you only created $1,000 in sales at that event. And your average profit margin is about 15%. So paid you $150 for that meeting. Now that might sound exciting, but if your team comes in there, you got 50 people and you guys drive 150 demos, it's $15,000. 15% margin of that. We both showed up at our office for the same amount of time and we probably ran the same agenda. But the difference was you left knowing that you made $150 in profit. I left knowing that I made over $1,500 in profit. Not to mention, which team meeting do you think we had more fun? Which one had more energy? Which one had a better team night out? Everything we do in this business is really just an excuse to drive more what? That's it. Training group, first weekend, right? Well, how many reps leave with actually 5 ahead of them or 7 ahead of them or 10 ahead of them, right? Okay, that's up to you. But you launch out 10 reps, 7 ahead, $7,000 for the first weekend. It's never going to be where everybody sells, right? Your top 20% are going to produce the most. Advanced training 1, 2, and 3. 5 fast starters at each. Every advanced training adds $3,000 more. PDI, every single time you have a PDI call, if you talk to them, they should at least book up 1 more what? Demo. Otherwise, you didn't really do PDI because PDI, you didn't have an influence or impact, right? You got to get more demos. And right now, I think that that's the biggest area of opportunity and thing holding us back as a division. The last one on there is PC, 2 demos set for every PC. Everybody with me on this? So I want you to go ahead and just, work with me here. Bust out your calculator. And we're going to pretend that your office is not in the ideal state. We're going to pretend that your office isn't really cranking it out there. But we're also going to pretend that you trust in our program, you trust in the process, and you at least do the minimum on all 6 of these. In other words, you have 1 rep at every phone jam throughout the week. So I want you to take out your calculator right now, and I don't want you to write how much that sold, but I want you to write down how many demos that got you for the week. In other words, 3 demos from each phone jam times 7 phone jams, that would be a total of 21 demos, right? Then you can look at the team phone jams. You have 10 reps at your team meeting. Well, now we're going to add 30 demos. So now we're at 51. You launched 5 for the week, hopefully more than that, but those 5 had 7 apiece. And if they didn't have 7 apiece when they left, you at least drove them to get 7 apiece. More demos. Now we got our calculators out, and we have 51 plus 35. And now we go to advanced training. And from the previous week's training class, you only launched 5 people. But those 5 fast starters came to every advanced training, and every advanced training they booked up, 10 demos. So what does that mean? Well, that means that you've got another 30. So now we have whatever that number was, 86 plus 30, okay? And then you go to PDI. You have 10 PDI calls every day, 10 extra demos, times an extra 7 days throughout the week. That's an extra 70 demos. And then you have PCs, and every PC, you have 10 PCs throughout the week with your total team, fast starters and non-fast starters, and that's an extra 20 demos. How many total demos does that give us? 206. $100 per demo. What kind of week are you having? 20K week. 20,600 actually. And that's assuming that you never got better at any of those things for the entire summer. Well, let's go ahead and play around with this, How many 20K weeks do you need to have to guarantee Paris?
6, 7, 6.
Basically 6, right? And how many weeks are there in a summer campaign? 18 in the summer, 17 in the non-summer. There's 17, 18, 17 in 3 campaigns, but close. So what does that come out to, I mean, that was a great guess, That means every 3rd week you need to find a way to do that, and you guarantee yourself Paris. So if you ever have an event that you don't drive more demos, or you ever have a day where you don't know how many demos you drove that day, you really haven't done your job as a manager, If there's one thing that I would force myself to track relentlessly, more than anything else other than recruits in my business, it would be how many demos I have. And it wouldn't even be about how many demos I have. It would be about how many demos I have in the next 3 days. So as I wrap this up, I want you to write down an airtight window. Great offices are really good at building urgency. And the reason they're good at building urgency is because they know that in the summer, every day in the summer equals a week in the non-summer. We will do more demos in a day in the summer as an office than we do in an entire week in the non-summer because of the size of our team and because of the availability of our reps. They have nothing else going on. Does that make sense? So if I know that taking a day off in the summer equals taking a week off in the non-summer. There's no way I'm going to do that. But my family, and I want the weekend off, so I'm going to take 2 days off. Dude, you just gave yourself 14 days off in the rest of the year. And what kind of effort would be necessary in order to earn the right to take 14 days off at any other time of year? Does that make sense? So learn how to bring urgency to every single day and learn how to live in an airtight window. Brian Hurlman talks about how all he cares about for 100 days in the summer is how many demos we have, and here's what you should write down: today, tomorrow, and the next day. That's it. Now, if you got demos after that, cool. Time will eventually catch up to you. But right now, all I care about is how many demos that you've got today, tomorrow, and the next day. Does that make sense? And if a rep does not have at least how many demos in the next 3 days, that rep needs to get on the what? Immediately. And here's my conversation, paint division, whatever. Great. And here's what I need you to do right now, Zane. I need you to get on the phone. I need you to make 10 calls. Call me back. Let me know how they go. Even if nobody answers, make your 10 calls. Call me back. Let me know how they go. Sound cool? All right. Excellent. Talk to you in a bit. And I'll never forget, back in Denver, there's a girl named Jordan Foose. Jordan Foose was one of the top pilots ever for Drew Frank. Jordan Foose also ran a $250,000 branch office and saved 20 grand that summer. Okay? And Jordan Foose was notorious for pushing people to either make 10 calls, call me back, and let me know how they go until they hit their demo goal. And I remember one time I walked into his office. She was having that conversation. Cool, make 10 calls, call me back, let me know how they go. Rep called back. Hey, how's it going? Cool. Thanks for calling back so soon. How'd the 10 calls go? Oh, nobody answered. So I think I'm going to call it a night. Well, you could call it a night, but if you call it a night right now, blank, blank, and blank won't happen. And I don't think that's the right decision. So I know it's not what you want to do, but it's probably what you have to do. Why don't we get back on the phone and make those 10 calls? Right? Rep got back on the phone, made 10 more calls, called back. How'd it go? Really, really good. I'm so glad I did it. I just booked up 2 more demos, and one of the ladies said she already owned Cutco and really loves it. She didn't even want a demo, and she bought a homemaker. Thank you so much for making me make those calls. Every one of you has somebody on your list right now that will buy a homemaker from you, guaranteed. Every one of you has somebody on your list right now that will buy an Ultimate, guaranteed. And the only thing that's holding you back from that result and where you're at right now is you making more what? Phone calls. That's it. Your ability to motivate people to take action and make calls will be in direct correlation to the level of success and profitability that you will have out of your organization this upcoming summer. Good? Sweet. So, give you a couple of assignments real quick, and then we'll wrap up the recording, and we'll spend about 5 or 10 minutes role-playing some of these conversations. All right, first assignment, just as a reminder, right? You need to organize and create your past customer list. We are about 2 to 3 weeks away from starting to promote all of our holiday sales, right, and getting our past customers called and contacted, especially for you, those of you from the summer. And a lot of people, right, that put things on 5-pay, well, their 5/5 payment is over now, and they are definitely in the position to be spending money for the holidays. You are in the most lucrative possible time of the year. Okay. Second assignment is you need to start building up your fresh leads base to over 250. Why does that matter? Because you are 10 weeks away from competing for a 4-day, 3-night all-inclusive trip to somewhere in the Caribbean. And you are 1 week away from learning what that trip is going to be. Okay. Cool. Third assignment here is you need to start tracking, right, and organizing your leads. Don't just have a big list. Hey, I feel like I've got 150. That's not good enough. Right? We need to have a legit list, right, that we're really going to pursue and we're really going to create and dominate when we go through that. Fair enough? So here are your skills tests that I want you role playing, okay? I want you all for 10 minutes to partner up. I want you to role play first weekend PDI, okay? Here is what you need to jot down because I don't have an actual piece to give you right now. The first one I want you to role play is a low flyer calling in after getting their first sale. So that's the first one, low flyer calling in after getting their first sale. These don't have to actually be 5-minute phone calls, okay? You can just practice a couple of lines. The second one would be a top rep calling in after having a no sale to one of their best 5 clients. Can you imagine this? This rep just went through 2 days of unpaid training. All you told them was to target their best 5. They did a demo for their best 5, and the rep and the client bought nothing. It's a top rep, by the way. This is like some of your targeting for 10K. Third example, if you get through those first 2, is a top rep calling in after having a first $1,000 order. And the fourth one is a low flyer calling in after getting, right, their first big sale. Cool? If you want one more, a rep calling in with only 1 demo ahead for their day, right? How are you going to handle that? Okay, again, 2 is okay, 3 is good, 4 is great, 5 is baller status, yes? All right, excellent. Thank you, Great Plains Division. I'm fired up about figuring out how we're going to get to 5 million next year, continuing our growth track of the fastest growing division in the company. We have 1 week left to promote the heck out of the pink, and I will see you in about 30 minutes for our division meeting, which I promise you is going to have a very strong opening comments and some really, really good messages. So you can look forward to that as well. Those of you listening to the recording, don't forget to send me your notes on the recording as well as, right, any big takeaways that you had moving forward. And don't miss your flight. That is a very easy way to not become a future manager in Great Plains. So that being said, all right, other than that, I'm going to stop the recording.